True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. This is Katie Weaver. I am here with my partner in crime and co host, Kristi Brower. Hello, how are you?
Hello. Well, good and slightly stunned. We've been trying to go live for about 10 minutes and then suddenly it just sort of happened.
Yeah. So we had actually just decided to pull the plug tonight that obviously we weren't supposed to go live and
Yeah,
suddenly went live. So I'm glad it
crazy
happened. Here
technology.
we are. And actually, Kristi, I'm going to ask you. Oh, yeah. Okay. We're showing up. Okay.
Yeah, we
Wonderful.
are.
Hello, Cranky. Okay. Great. Well, here we are. Well, how are you?
I am doing really well. I have had a really great day. You know, uh, this is going to sound weird, but I had a steroid shot in my back on Monday. And I have rheumatoid arthritis, and I don't know if you've ever had, I know you have, Katie, but when you get a something
Yeah.
like this, then you feel like $1,000,000 for a little while. And
But if,
I'm like,
yeah.
"Why do I feel so good?" Oh,
But if we
yeah.
said you feel like you can bench press a Buick, yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah, yeah. It's kinda like that. Like, I'm like, "Hey, I can lift a car. I can do anything," you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna last, but it's pretty great to have it for a few days. I kinda have to
Uh-huh.
remind myself, like, still don't screw yourself up because, that's why you had to have the shot in the first place because you did something
Mm-hmm.
dumb. And so definitely, I gotta be careful, but I do feel really quite well and pain-free and, which is really awesome. So I'm good.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, it sucks to feel like that. I know I finally broke down what about a month ago and got a Depomedrol shot, which is something I really hate to do, but and it's a steroid shot, but every once in a while, man, you're having so much pain and you realize, "Oh, I have an option," because I always keep that one in my back pocket. I don't get it
Mhm.
unless I really need it. I could
Yeah.
have it every 3 months, but I don't because it makes you fat, and I don't need any help with that. And
Well, and I know
also
I try really hard to avoid the steroids, but I really screwed up
yeah,
my back and couldn't help
yeah,
it. But yeah, once in a while, it's like, "Oh,
what a relief. Yeah,
okay,
that's the way
illegal.
to
Got
do
it.
it.
Okay."
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad you're feeling good. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very good. Um, good. What'd you make for dinner?
I made grilled chicken and, cheesy cauliflower rice.
Nice. And what did everyone make for dinner? I'm asking for a friend who needs ideas because she is very sick of what she's cooking.
Oh, yes. Are you in one of those? In one of
Yeah,
those
kind
camps?
of. Well, while we were on the cemetery tour, my husband bought the groceries, which, that's fine. And I was thrilled because I hate buying groceries. But now I've just got all this food because he's like, well, I just bought the things we normally buy. Okay, that's awesome. But I didn't have a plan for those things. So now I'm looking in the fridge going, what's for dinner? He said today, what should we make for dinner? And I'm like, well, hell, I don't know.
What
I
did you
have no
buy?
plan. Yeah, but
That's funny.
however, so I put some chicken breasts in. I've been not breasts. I've been buying the boneless chicken thighs.
Mm,
Holy moly, those are better than chicken breasts. They just have more flavor and they're better. But we're
mm,
keto. And so you guys, Christy and I both are. And so,
yes.
when we're talking about what we're eating, it's, weird because we're keto like that. But
Yes.
anyway, I put chicken thighs in a baking dish and covered them in marinara sauce and baked them. And I put a spaghetti squash in the Instant Pot.
Ooh,
Have you
yum.
done this?
Mhm.
Holy hell. That is the easiest way I have ever made a spaghetti squash.
Yeah.
And did you cook it whole? I threw the whole thing in there.
Oh,
I didn't
no,
even cut
uh-uh.
it.
No, I usually microwave it and cut it in half.
No, I put it in the Instant Pot. I pressured it for 20 minutes. By the time I didn't even release the steam, I just left it in there so that because the chicken had to bake for quite a while. Anyway, and I pulled it all out together and bam. Anyway, it was super good.
I'm gonna have to try
But
it like that. Nice.
but
Oh, look,
yeah,
Paula
hot tip
also
on the
has
psychic
spaghetti
hour.
squash.
I see that. Yeah.
Good job.
Spaghetti
Great
in the
minds.
Instant Pot. Yeah. Okay, we're seeing great ideas. Grilled cheese. Ooh, I so wish.
Mhm.
No wheat here. Chicken pot pie, soup, and rosemary cheese biscuits. Oh, good lord.
Mm.
Homemade vegetable beef soup. Everybody's feeling soup. See that? Pork
Mhm.
chop, spaghetti squash, chicken thighs are the best. They are, aren't they? I know. They're a little cheaper too. I keep getting tricked into accidentally buying ones with the bone in, and
Oh,
nobody in my house will eat. I'll eat them, but my husband and my daughter won't. So
mm.
they don't like chicken with bones because ew. because I guess they don't know that chickens have bones,
I
but
guess. Well, whatever, right?
I'm not salty. But anyway, ooh, taco on a large tortilla and rice. Nice.
Yum. Ooh, we had tacos last night.
Nice.
Yeah.
So did we. Oh, no, 2 nights ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
2 nights ago. Wow.
Mars, my daughter, my 17-year-old she will always cook if you ask her to, and she will always make tacos. Always. And that's fine. Well, or a caprese salad. It's one of those things always.
Oh, yes, that is
But
her thing.
yeah,
You
totally.
can
But
tell it's fall because we're all like, "Okay, what to
right.
eat now?" Yeah, I know. I've been
Yeah.
thinking a lot about, um, shopping for the Instapot, crock pot, that kinda thing. It's time.
I
Yeah,
know.
mac and cheese in the Instapot. That's interesting.
Right?
If I could
Yeah.
have pasta, but I cannot have pasta.
Right. Yeah, but you could do a pasta alternative. It might be
Mhm,
okay. But in the
mhm.
Instant Pot would probably destroy it because those fall apart pretty quick.
Yeah.
But well, thanks. Good thoughts.
Mhm.
Well, when we came home from the cemetery tour, Scott had made dinner, and the man made in the Instant Pot a pot of beef stew that could feed a family of 20 for a couple days. Not kidding. And then he's like, I cleaned out this fridge and threw away so many leftovers, and we are never throwing away a leftover again. We are eating all of this stew. Okay.
Stew for a
We've eaten a
week.
lot of stew this week. Today, I went ahead and let one of our dogs finish it off.
Oh,
We didn't waste it after all, but
well, true.
anyway. Well, it's good. Well, my today a package came in the mail and it had his name on it, and I'm like, "Hey, something came for you." And he's like, "Oh, no, that's for you." So, I had told him a while back that for Christmas, I wanted a Dremel tool set because I'm constantly borrowing his. And he ordered me one and he goes, "I don't wanna wait till Christmas because 'cause you're always into my shit." So,
Mhm.
anyway, but he bought me this really cool rotary tool set
Ooh,
that
neat.
is for people with smaller or weaker hands, because my RA hands kinda suck. And
Mhm.
so it's on this, wire thing, and so it's like the size of a pen.
Oh,
So
cool.
it's not like the big tool to hold, it's just a little thing to be able to anyway, yeah. So that's how excited I am. Yeah, I got a Dremel tool today that's just super cool, so
I'm impressed.
well,
That sounds really fun.
mhm. And then lastly, I just wanna show you guys something. I'm hoping this picture comes up. It's not showing up here. Or maybe it's not. Well, I'll try again.
Hmm.
Sometimes
This
tech.
looks black to me. I don't know.
I know, I'm not sure what happened. I'll try one more time. I was gonna show you guys a picture of one of my pigs. As some of you know, I have too many pigs that live in the house.
Mini. Okay, sure. Mhm.
Well, they are mini pigs compared to full-size pigs, but they're
They
not
are. Okay, true.
super duper tiny. They're really not. But it's winter and they don't like it. It's not winter, but it's getting cold and it's getting dark earlier. And
Mhm.
all they want to do is sleep in the house now. That's kind of what they do when it gets cold. And they will not leave my husband alone. And it's just so funny. It doesn't matter what chair he's sitting in or on the couch, they have to be right up on top of him, right up next to him. So I took this picture 2 nights ago.
That's a great
This is
picture.
poor Scott trying to watch TV. This is Zig, our little boar, and he's just laying there. He has his snout like pressed right up against Scott's neck and his ear, just nuzzling him and sleeping. And it was the cutest thing.
Oh,
Anyway,
what a
that's
cute
our
boy.
little Zig. He's such a good boy. But anyway, that only worked because his sister was asleep on top of me. Because if she
Uh,
catches him sleeping with her dad like that, she will freak out. So
oh, that's her dad.
later, when I got up and then she got up and she realized he was over there, the fight was on.
Oh, I'll bet.
All Scott could do was give them that chair and go sit somewhere else. But anyway,
Frankie
I talked
wants to
about
know if you can make your pigs sweaters or coats for winter.
I have tried things like that, and trying to get stuff on them is an unbelievable circus.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. When they were little, they wore stuff like that. When we brought our first little piglet home, she was only 3 weeks old, which I would not recommend, but the breeder we had, that's it was a mess. But anyway, she was tiny. Like, she was maybe 2 pounds, and she was so little that she had little tiny sweaters and coats and dresses, and She was just itty bitty. But
Yeah.
as she got bigger, trying to put stuff like that on her was just an unbelievable scene. So, yes, you can, it technically. How you would get them on them without just the ugliest fight you've ever had, I don't know. I think other people's pigs are much more well trained than mine because I see people like walking their pigs on a harness. Oh, Jesus Christ. You can't imagine what it's like to try and put our pigs on a harness. They will act like they're headed to market. They
Yes.
freak out. Yeah. I wish I could, though. I really do. What
Mhm.
they do is this: you put a blankie on them. Pigs love blankets, love them. And so they'll be laying on the couch or on one of their beds, and you put a blankie on them. Our little female, our sow, will stand there and stare at her bed and hassle you until you put a blanket on her. And then she'll get up and start wandering the house with the blanket around her shoulders, like Super Pig. She
Mhm.
does that all the time. So I guess kind of because she'll wear a blanket around her shoulders. But
There you
yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah. This is the kind of chaotic life I live. But we're mostly trained by pigs.
Yeah,
But
it seems like.
anyway, Corin said, I bet you could do cauliflower and cheese in the Instant Pot.
Mhm.
I'll bet you could too.
I would like to
Yeah.
try that because I
And
I
do
made a
like
cauliflower
a mock.
cheese,
Yeah.
dish, that was really good, so I'll have to try it.
Hmm. Nice. Well, we thought we'd talk a little, we'll do some readings towards the end of the show, but we thought we'd talk a little bit tonight about what it means to be an empath and give you guys some ideas about how empaths can take good care of themselves right now and hopefully avoid getting too sucked in and triggered to the current energy that we're in because it is so challenging. And then
Mhm.
Mercury went retrograde a couple of days ago, and that's just made it even worse. If you guys feel like people around you are behaving particularly poorly, they probably are
Mhm.
because that's
Mhm. Yeah, it's a
everybody's
rough
feeling
time.
very, yeah, very triggered. So when we talk about being an empath, Kristi, what would you, how would you qualify that?
So, as an empath, it just means that you're particularly sensitive to the way that other people feel. So, you may feel other people's emotions. You might feel their pain in your body. You may just feel a lot of, if you go into a room of people, you just feel very overwhelmed because you feel all of their stuff. You may really just pick up and feel things like, um, somebody around you is anxious and then suddenly so are you, and you're not sure why.
Hmm.
Things like that, and so being an empath and lots and lots of people are empathetic,
Yeah.
and learning how to understand it and how to deal with it and handle it and use it as a positive rather than a negative is really important, and
Hmm.
when the world is 2020 is the year of the is the year of the empath hiding in the basement. This is just one crisis after another, after another, after another, and if you're particularly sensitive, it's really hard to be out in the world right now.
Hmm. Yes, it is. And it's easy to get kind of triggered. I mean, one of empaths' worst traits is you think everything is your fault.
Yes,
And it's,
the guilt.
yeah, the guilt and feeling other people feeling angry or uncomfortable or sad and immediately wondering, what did I do? I hear this all the time. And empaths start this from the time they are little. Empaths are the kids that constantly go home with a tummy ache. You
Mhm,
know, they're the kids that will try way too hard to make sure that the adults around them are taken care of
mhm,
because they struggle so much with other people being unhappy and feeling like it's their fault and feeling like everybody has to be okay so that they can be okay. And I know some of you guys are hearing yourselves in these stories, right? And I'm
mm,
seeing some of you here in the chat room that you guys have been through a lot of this. You know what we're talking about. And some of you might be going, oh, maybe I'm an empath, and you probably are. If honestly, if you're here and you're listening to us and we're talking about this, you may be finding yourself or some of your kids or nieces or nephews in this conversation.
yeah,
And it's been tough lately. A lot of my empathic clients have been sick a lot this year,
mhm,
have had more struggles with mental health than they normally do. Have had some depression, anxiety's been through the roof. A lot of my empaths have felt really hopeless, which is really weird for empaths, really,
mhm.
because most of my empaths actually are pretty hopeful. Most of the time, they're pretty dauntingly optimistic,
Well, yeah, pretty motivated
But
by helping other people and making things better, and But it
Yeah.
has kind of felt like this year has just kicked us in the teeth over and over again, and
Mhm.
so if you're a person who feels like you're gonna be able to make things better, you may feel like you haven't been super successful at that
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah. For sure. Well, and that's the thing. And right now, COVID has kind of rocked the whole world. Here in the US, the upcoming election has got just everyone so polarized and triggered and freaked out. And here's the
Yeah.
thing, I know a lot of my empaths don't even watch the news. They do not involve themselves because it's just too much, but you're still feeling it.
Oh, yeah.
You just are the pressure. We're in a pressure cooker right now.
We are.
And so, but that sounds all like a lot of doom and gloom and bullshit, and it is. But we have some tools for you, some ideas for how to help. So, Kristi, what would be the number one thing you would say that an empath needs to be doing right now, like for daily self care?
Well, for daily self-care, first and foremost, having good boundaries and only involving yourself in things that you really choose to want to involve yourself in. And I know
Hmm.
that there are some areas of your life you can't help that. Maybe you have to go to work even though, things aren't always great there. But, being careful about social media, being careful about the news, being careful about who you're around socially, be clear about if this feels crappy to me, I don't have to do it. And it's
Yeah.
okay to say no. It's okay to not go. It's okay to stay away. I think boundaries are more important than anything right now. To
Hmm.
just don't even get it started if you can help it, to avoid situations that are just too much.
Absolutely. And I'll add to that, don't feel bad about drawing back right now from the energy vampires in your life.
Yeah.
And the energy vampires are people who just suck you dry. And, they're not people that are doing it on purpose. I'm not talking about people, consciously hurting you. I'm just
No.
talking about, who I'm talking about, right? That person who, when you see their name on the caller ID, you're like, oh God. But guess what? You answer, you know?
Right. You
I'm
don't have
talking
to
about the
answer.
people who are constantly rolling in some kind of drama that they want you to be involved in.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff, guess what, guys? They'll do it with or without you.
Mhm.
You don't have to give them your energy right now. You may not really have that to spare.
Yeah.
So, really kind of hone in on that. Maybe it's the person you sit next to at work that never quits gossiping and bitching and complaining. And maybe this would be a good time for you to draw back from them a little bit or put up a
Mhm.
better boundary. But, every one of you right now is going, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Really, from now until the end of the year, we're talking about extreme self-care, and that means that you don't have the energy to give to things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's okay to choose you first, and this is the
yeah,
plight of the empath, is that we always put everybody else before us. And as an empath, you have to learn that the only way to really be happy and to really be in a good place for you is to put you first
yeah,
and then do what you can for other people. But it's okay to
mhm,
set boundaries, and like Cranky says, even with family. Yes, even with family,
yeah,
with everyone, but it is
mhm,
truly okay to put yourself first and your emotional health first, and I think that we're in a place where we need that.
yep.
I know I've definitely had to do that with family members, that I've had to just I like that unfollow button on Facebook.
Oh,
Some stuff that I
I've
just
had
can't
hot
stand
hot
watching
fingers
anymore.
this year with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Me too, and I've unfollowed every news site. I just can't. I don't
Yeah.
want to. It's too much. Yeah. Even yesterday, I made one comment to our senator asking him a question, and it ended up a huge thread with a whole bunch of people asking questions back and forth. And it turned into like an ugly thing that I was like, holy, I did not mean for this to be, I don't want this. I just don't want
Yeah.
it. It's too
But
much.
everything just kind of turns into that right now.
Oh, everything, every single thing. So the second part of that to me is that empaths right now really, really need some healthy outlets for
Mhm.
good energy to flow. And so, for my opinion, for all of you, because I know that if you're an empathic person, you're also a creative. You're a little creative genius, and you might not feel like you are today. You know, you might sit here right now and go, I don't really do anything. But
Mhm.
yes, you do. And you just probably aren't giving yourself credit for it. Or
Yeah.
maybe it's time to explore something new. Creative could certainly be making something, crafting something. It could be reading, it could be writing, it could be cooking, it could be trying something entirely new. It could be
Yeah.
gardening, it could be something completely different, right? But you guys typically have a pretty creative heart, and right now you really need some hobbies to dive into. This is
Mhm.
the more you can do creative things with your hands, the more grounded you're gonna be, the better off you're gonna feel.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, and it's also a great way to have an excuse to stay home and to do the things that you wanna do if you have,
Mhm.
planned activities and projects and things that you're working on. Sometimes it helps a little bit with that guilt of that you need to go or have to go when you already have something planned for yourself.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. Well, and right now, you can learn how to do anything online. Anything. And you can pretty much get anything you need, on Amazon or elsewhere. I think
Yeah.
UPS literally comes to my house daily. Seriously.
Mhm.
It's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But, but that's how we do most of our shopping is online. But, this is learn something. Pick something up, you know?
Yeah.
But the other part of that is definitely some sorry, I got distracted. I'm going to share this because Corin said National Novel Writing Month is coming up.
Yeah,
NaNoWriMo.
NaNoWriMo.
Yeah, it's coming up in November, and it's a fantastic way to really get stuck in a creative writing or unstuck and let a lot of emotions out. I love that. Yeah. Every year I say I'm going to do it, and then I don't. Maybe this is my year.
Maybe it is. Maybe you're gonna write the sequel to your novel,
I don't know.
huh?
I have 2 novels, 2 that need
Yes, you do.
sequels.
Well, that's true. You could write the sequel to either of your novels.
And I actually occasionally have somebody write me about, the 2nd book about Annie's girls and go, I've been checking and I haven't seen the 2nd book come out yet." And I'm like, "That's because this idiot hasn't written it." But so, yeah, maybe this year, right.
Yeah.
That would
Well, but
actually
it's
be
good to
great.
plan things like that, to give
Mhm.
yourself good, positive, creative outlets, and it also gives you reasons to be able to set clear boundaries, that you have things going on in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the great thing about being creative or working on projects. You can choose to share them with others or choose to keep them for yourself. That is totally up to you,
Yeah,
you know? Now you just
absolutely.
be really aware of not being caught up in perfectionism. It
Yeah.
does not have to look like the magazine cover, right? It doesn't have
No.
to be perfect. This is much more about the journey than it is the outcome.
It is, yeah, it's really about the process.
Oh, yeah, very much. Yep. And then happy distractions. What are some of your happy distractions?
My happy distraction well, my
Mhm,
dogs and my cats 100% are huge happy distractions for me.
mhm. Yeah, me too, and my pigs, obviously. But for me, also comedy. I
Mhm.
love comedy. I listen to comedy every single day. And that makes a huge difference for me. And my family just knows if I'm going in the shower, definitely they're going to hear the Alexa turn on,
Mm,
or just, or when I'm doing random tasks or pouring resin, I'm usually listening to comedy because it makes me feel good. It
yeah.
makes me laugh and I like it. And if you need some comedy suggestions, well, I will throw them your way because that's something that really works for me. Now, I know other people reading or, sometimes just falling into a Netflix binge or something along those lines. Great. Happy distractions right now are awesome. Great ways to spend your time. Do it, right?
Yeah, like, watching, I don't know, hours of true crime documentaries. 'Cause
Okay.
I've been doing that.
Yeah.
I always do that, but I have definitely been doing that more lately.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you get rid of perfectionism? Runs with Scissors wants to know. Do you get rid of perfectionism? That's a head game.
Mhm, it is. I think that you have to really get to the core of why are you so hard on yourself? It's
Yeah.
it's not just about being a perfectionist, but it is really probably more about an unconscious belief about you not being good enough, and
Mhm.
follow that thread back to where did that start in your life? And it probably started in childhood, probably early childhood, where
Yeah.
you were given the impression, whether it was intentional or unintentional, that whatever you do, it's not good enough. And so you always have to strive for something better.
Mhm.
Um, and so I think following the thread back in your own thinking and in your own experiences really helps with identifying that, because it's
Mhm.
not, being a perfectionist is a symptom of a bigger problem.
Right.
And
Whose voice
so
are you
where
hearing
does
in
that
your
come
head?
from? And do you actually believe it about yourself? You know, we have a
Yeah.
lot of unconscious beliefs that don't match our conscious beliefs. And so sometimes you can explore that, do a little journaling around it and go, okay, wait a minute. This came from this lifetime experience with someone else who told me this. I don't actually even believe it's true. And you can
Mhm.
learn to heal it that way.
Mhm. Yep. It's a bit of a head game and it's some work, but it's worth it. Totally.
It is, it's totally worth it. And to recognize that perfectionism is a symptom, not the actual problem, I think is makes it easier to resolve it, because
Yeah.
you can't really fix perfectionism until you fix why you're a perfectionist, why you're so hard on yourself.
Totally. Yep. That's a big one though. That's a good question too. Thank you. Because that is something that
Mhm.
hey, hopefully at the end of the day you can get to the point that you go, I don't give a damn
Yeah,
about what anybody thinks and I'm not going to be too worried about this.
yeah,
Yeah. But
exactly.
it's work, but it's worth the work.
When it becomes
Definitely.
your conscious choice about what you believe and what you feel about it, it changes it.
Mhm. So when somebody is feeling just flat out overwhelmed by the energy around them, what process or activity would you recommend they take themselves through to work through it?
Oh, well. So, over the years in radio, I have written
I knew you'd have something here.
many exercises. I call them meditations. They're kind of little self healing exercises. But my favorite one for this is called Clear Your Bubble. And this is an empath skill I've been teaching for a long, long time, about how to release all that extra energy that's built up inside of you that is really somebody else's energy. So, our bubble is your energy body from your physical body out to arm's length. Remember when we were kids and everyone was like, this is your bubble, this is your personal space? Well, that should be your energy. But as empaths, we're kind of big sponges, we suck up other people's emotional energy, and we do get very overwhelmed. We just take on way too much. And so I have a little exercise called Clear Your Bubble that really helps. And so why don't we just do it together, and we'll clear our bubbles. So everybody just close your eyes and take a couple of deep breaths. Now, in your mind's eye, just bring your attention to your bubble. So, the area of your energy body that is from you out to arm's length, there's this bubble of energy around you. And just take a moment to feel what is inside the bubble. You might notice some energy floating around, some different colors, some different qualities of energy. What's floating in there? And take a minute just to start identifying it a little bit. Is this your stuff? Who does it belong to? A really important part of learning to manage yourself as an empath is learning how to figure out what's yours and what's other people's. And chances are good that your bubble's pretty full of other people's emotional energy. So we're going to drain all that excess energy, all the extra energy that doesn't belong to you out of your bubble. So I want you to imagine that you're screwing a garden hose to the side of your bubble. And then you're going to drop the other end of the bubble down into a vortex of white light in the earth. Think of it like a hole in the earth that's full of white light, and everything that we put into that white light will be transmuted into love. So everything will be released and transmuted into love. So when you drop the other end of the garden hose down into the vortex of white light, then your bubble just starts to clear. Everything starts to flow out through the hose and down into the vortex of white light. I want you to just observe while your bubble drains all the way out. Okay. When you feel everything released from your bubble, just unscrew the garden hose. And now we're going to fill your bubble up with your energy. It should be your energy in the bubble, not other people's, but we have to do this intentionally because as empaths, our unconscious action, our unconscious behaviors just take on everybody else's energy. So we have to choose this consciously. I want you to bring your attention to your heart chakra. So just to your heart, to the center of your chest. And just ask yourself, what color is the energy here? You might feel it or see it. It might be green or pink or gold. There might be some blue or some yellow in there. It can be any color. It can be any combination of colors. And once you know what colors are in your heart chakra, push that energy out from your heart chakra and use it to fill your bubble. So think of it like filling up a water balloon. We're just going to fill your bubble all the way from the bottom to the top with that heart energy. Just allowing that energy to fill your bubble up and surround you with your own energy, taking up your space with your energy. Empaths tend to be a little afraid to take up space. And this is your space. You have every right to take it up and fill it up with your own energy. And when it's full of your own energy, there's no space for anybody else's energy to jump in and mess with how you feel. So you're just going to feel that energy fill your bubble all the way up. All the way up clear to the top above your head. And when your bubble is full with your energy, just take a couple of deep breaths. And open your eyes. Very good. So, anytime you start feeling really overwhelmed and really, like you're taking on everybody else's emotional energy, do that exercise and just clear all that energy out and fill it back up with your own. It's one fantastic way to feel better and to reduce your anxiety and that sense of overwhelm.
Absolutely. That was brilliant. Thank you. I knew you would
Mhm.
be ready on the fly to take us through something. That was fantastic. And I hope that helped you guys too to have a tool and also to get a little help tonight so that you can feel a little bit better. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to address a couple of comments that happened a little earlier to make sure that we saw them. Yeah. Leah said she's a behavior analyst who provides in-home ABA therapy.
Ah,
She said
oh,
it's hard when she's sensitive and carries those emotions, and ooh, that's a hard job.
that
Yikes.
is a super hard job. Yeah, Leah,
Yeah.
bubble clearing every day after work would help a ton.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it would be, I'm surely hard for you to not bring some of that stuff home with you at night. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So Catherine said, pigs are pretty smart. My dad talked about a pig he bottle fed who followed him around like a dog. One day he was working under a truck and the pig thought he was in trouble. So he pulled him out from under the truck and had to investigate him. Isn't
Oh
that
my
funny?
goodness.
I just had to share that because that's really sweet.
That is very sweet.
And then the other comment I wanted to address was Caitlin. She said, I've always felt this way about being empathic, but now you're making me wonder about my son. I agree with you, Caitlin. Just in feeling into you, I feel like you have an extremely sensitive son. He is what I would classify as a crystal child.
Mhm.
So you guys may have heard before, these classifications and whatever you've heard about them is fine. I probably am not as strict on them as maybe others, but there is an idea that we have indigo children who are more like our ages. And then a little bit younger, we had crystal children and then rainbow children. I don't think the ages necessarily have to apply or come in that order. But Caitlin, this is why I think your son is a crystal child. Crystal children are just this pure, unconditional love. They are full of light. They are the babies that really attract people in public. They're the toddler that's always got a smile for somebody. They usually have these really big eyes that are just like soulful, and they're very sensitive and empathic. These are kids who tend to get their feelings hurt easily. They are kids that tend to get bullied because they don't want to stand up for themselves. They will stand up for somebody else, but they don't usually stand up for themselves. A lot of times, these kids will have some food sensitivities, have a few skin and stomach issues, and they're absolutely brilliant lights. And a lot of
Mhm.
times, they are so precious to their parents because they're the easiest kids to raise. They might have a problem here or there, with their bodies or whatever. But as far as being kids who want to listen and please and do what you want them to, they're almost too easy. You have to be careful to make sure they get to have their own personality.
Mhm.
But I feel like absolutely your son is a crystal child. And so what do crystal children need? Well, they need lots of opportunities to be themselves.
Mhm.
They A lot of crystals now are like, we're seeing a lot of these kids with way more self-expression than we were allowed to have, and
Yeah.
they're getting pretty brazen with it. It's really fun. It's cool to see. But he couldn't have chosen a better mom, though, Caitlin, because you, I feel like, are so good at allowing him to be himself. And the older he gets, the more that will become apparent. So this is good. But yeah, thinking about him in the space of being an empath is going to be really important moving forward.
Yeah. Most definitely, most definitely. It's so good to
Yeah.
know because that gives you so much,
Yeah.
information, to help your kid.
Yeah.
And a lot of us grew up like
Yeah.
this with parents who didn't fully understand it,
Yeah.
and that makes it harder as an adult. You sort of train yourself to hate it or train yourself to ignore it. And so it's great
Yeah.
when a parent can recognize it in a kid and so they don't grow up that way.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. JR said, I'm this way too and never been okay with it. Some people, it's easy to feel like maybe the being an empath is a curse more than a gift.
Yeah.
And yet it is a gift. And if you can really identify how you've used it as a gift, because empaths are pretty good at getting what they want if you know, if you can find your gifts, right? So, anyway, hopefully throughout the time you spend with us, we can help you to start recognizing it as a gift and recognizing your gifts
Yeah.
so that you can use it to your benefit rather than just getting your ass kicked all the time. I get it. I
Mhm.
do.
Oh, yeah, I do too. But it
Yeah.
is it is actually a benefit. It can be
Yeah.
if you can see it that way.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
if you learn to understand it. But yeah, I mean, we've worked
Mhm.
with tons and tons of people who are like, just make it go away.
Yeah.
Sadly, you can't. It's just very much about who you are as a soul. That you
Mhm.
can't make it go away, but you can learn to manage it and understand it for sure.
Definitely. Yeah. Oh, several people said I just described their child exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have a bunch of crystal children. So the question, let's see who asked it. Wanted to know. Oh, Eternity wanted to know: is a crystal child different than an indigo child? The next step, we're just different and the same. The
Mhm.
indigo children also empaths, but much more assertive. A lot of activists, a lot of people that have brought a lot of change here in the last 25-ish years on the planet, or maybe even more. I mean, some people think that the empaths really start, or the indigo children really started showing up as like the flower children of the 60s,
Right.
up until now. And so it's a little different because the indigo children will fight. They'll fight
Mhm.
for what they believe in. They they are, I think, better masters of their empathy, maybe. Wouldn't you say?
Mhm.
What do you add to
Just a
that?
little bit thicker skinned,
Yeah.
not as easily hurt emotionally, a little thicker skinned. A lot of Generation X, which is what Katie and I are indigos, and
Yeah.
we're just a little tougher.
Mhm.
Maybe we're a little more protected as small children, so I don't know, just a
Mhm.
little
A little
different.
different vibe. A
Yeah.
little more fire. Yeah. I've
Mhm.
joked for years that the main thing a crystal child needs to take to school with them is an indigo child, you know?
Yeah, 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 to stand up for them, definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we have the rainbow children who also I think are and again, like I'm not too wrapped up in how old they are, or you are, I think that that's pretty relative, but the rainbow children are kind of a good mix of both. They have that really true unconditional love energy of the crystal children, but they have a lot of the intensity of the indigos. So
Yeah.
yeah, but lots of really, really special souls on the planet right now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it's so important for us all to understand it, if we're really feeling this stuff. It's not that there's anything wrong with you.
Right.
It is simply that this is just a gift, a particular skill that you have,
Mhm.
that you can learn to understand and use. And that's why we like to
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about it because
Mhm.
um, we've spent, our whole lives understanding this about ourselves. And
Mhm.
fortunately, we had a very intuitive mom who helped us a lot
Yeah.
with staying connected to our intuition growing up.
Mhm.
And so we've wanted to share that with other people because we know not everybody has had that opportunity to have a family where you could actually talk about stuff like this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Missy made it. Hi, Missy. Just wanted to say hi.
Yeah, so glad to have
Looks like
all
we
of
have
you
lots
here.
of
It's really nice.
Gen Xers in the house. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think the conversations about, helping us kind of come to terms with who we were as kids, versus who
Mhm.
we are right now and help us to understand the younger generations really helps. I have felt like looking at the millennials and I don't know, like age 18 to 25ish in boys is one of the most challenged group of individuals I've seen in a really long time
Mhm.
because of the sensitivities they were born with versus the expectations of society versus where they're really feeling drawn to go or who they're really feeling drawn to be.
Yeah.
And it's tough. Those are the kids that I feel like need like a crazy amount of support and understanding because dang, that's a really tough jam right now.
Mhm. It is. It is a very difficult one. JR would like to know, how do you know if you're intuitive? Well, JR, do you ever know things before they happen? Do you have a hunch about a situation or a person and then you realize, "Oh, I was right about that." Do you ever have a
Mhm.
dream that comes true? Do you ever feel prompted to do or say something that really turned out in your favor, or you didn't do it and then you really wished you had?
Yeah.
My favorite thing, if you guys don't know who she is, she just recently passed away, but Shakti Gawain, one of my favorite writers ever, and she wrote this little book called Developing Intuition. If you haven't read it, get it, read it. It is fantastic. If you want to understand yourself as an intuitive, because everyone is an intuitive. It's just a intuition is a skill we all have. Just it's kind of like learning to play basketball. We can all
Yeah.
do it. It just depends on at which level you would like to do it. But if you want to learn more about your own intuition, one of her practices in the book that just literally changed my life was to keep an intuition journal. So you keep a little notebook with you, and every time you have a hunch or a feeling about a person or a situation, you write it down. And then you go back periodically and you go and you review it and you can identify whether or not, was I right or was I wrong? Do I wish I had listened to myself in this moment? Those kinds of things. Because what you need is validation.
Mhm.
Validation helps you to recognize your intuition. Do you have gut feelings about things? Do you just have a strong inner knowing? Maybe you hear a voice or see something. Maybe you have dreams, but it is keeping track of them for a little while that will really help you to identify them. So, JR, that's what I would recommend that you do to help you to understand your intuition is keep a little journal for a while about just
Mhm.
the simple things that, we all have little promptings about here
Yep.
and there.
Yep. And you may not see it as intuition because it's always happened, you
Yeah, yeah,
know?
you may just
You never wake up one morning and go, "Oh, I'm breathing," right? Because your lungs have always done this.
yeah,
And sometimes a lot of times, actually, intuition's a lot the same way. You don't really recognize it for what it is if you've just always done it.
right, right,
It's kind of that egocentrism as children that we kind of sometimes take with us into adults and just thinking everyone's like this.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and not, it turns out not everybody is. It might be that you just kind of always know the answer to a in particular situations, and you just kind of thought everybody did. And it turns out they probably didn't.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Corin
wanted
says
to Oh,
oh,
yeah,
go
corn.
ahead. Oh, is that where you were going to?
Yeah, yeah.
Corin said the hardest parts for me are first trying to remind myself or to figure out that other people don't say that see the world that way. And second, when I was training in the craft, I was always told to shield. Yeah,
And it is important to recognize that not everybody is really connected to their empathy, and not everybody is really connected to their intuition, and so not
yeah,
everybody does see the world the same way, and
yeah.
that's a hard lesson as an empath, I think.
Well, but she's bringing up a good point. She said I was never able to block it out. It was like walking around blindfolded.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It
Mhm.
You will never be able to completely shut out the world. You just
Mm.
won't. No amount of awesome energy work or shielding or casting is gonna completely block the whole world out. It's just not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm there, and I think that's really frustrating, Corin, when you're practicing because then you think you're doing something wrong, but the truth is nobody's shutting everything out, and if they're
No,
telling you they are, they're probably just full of
not.
shit. Yeah.
Well, and
Because
you're
they're
literally
not.
trying to block a really key important element of who you are.
Right,
You
yeah.
really are much better off to embrace it and identify it. And I mean,
Yeah.
we've known forever. We still know, even though here we are live on YouTube talking about this, that you're always going to have people in your life that you talk to about things like this and people that you don't.
Yep. Oh,
People
yeah.
around you that get it and people that don't get it. And that's okay.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah. It runs with scissors said, "My mom had mental illness, and she kept taking me to the priest to be exorcised because she thought I was possessed."
Oh gosh.
I am so sorry that was your experience.
Yes, I am too. That is very difficult.
Yeah.
And that is, there's a hard there's a line between spirituality and mental health, and I'm a social worker, you guys probably know that, and,
Mhm.
it is very hard, spirituality should make you feel better. Your
Mhm.
spiritual experiences should be positive, should give you information, should be helpful.
Mhm.
Things that are scary, things that are terrifying, things that are, you know, encouraging you to hurt yourself or somebody else,
Mhm.
that's that's a mental illness. So there is a line between these 2 things, and it's well recognized in the mental health community that there are differences between spiritual experiences and mental health problems.
Yeah.
And, that's the way you tell. If it makes you feel bad and horrible and awful, you might need some help.
Yeah. For sure. Missy shared in the chat, a psychic, hit or incident she had earlier this week that, she knew her dad was coming through with a message. So it was early in the morning and her dog wanted out, and she was kinda doing the just a minute" thing, and then vividly remembered a story about her parents when her dad's, cat was sitting on his shoulder, nagging at him to go out, and he kept putting him off, and the cat went on her dad,
Uh-oh.
and, all dad could do was laugh about it because it was his own fault because he didn't put
Mhm.
him out. Anyway, so she, got up and took the dog out.
Yeah. Oh, that's
I
funny.
love that. That's so funny, and undoubtedly, that was your dad, and
Yeah,
laughing the whole time. Yeah,
most definitely.
that's really fun. JR wanted to know, what about living environment? Should an empath live in the city or country? My personal opinion is the further away from chaos, the better you are. But that's kind of unfair to say when many people live where they live,
Mhm.
and you may not be able to do anything about that. And
It
so,
depends. Some empaths really thrive on the energy of other people,
yeah.
really can take it on in a way where they don't take on other people's emotions, but they enjoy the high of being around other people because,
Mhm.
in general, as empaths, we do love other people. So
Yeah.
it really is about identifying what's best for you, JR, where you
Mhm.
feel the best.
Yep.
Being really honest with yourself. Do I feel well in this city? Does this place make
Yeah.
me feel happy or not?
Absolutely, and it's true, some people do great there, and I have a lot of empaths in bigger cities that long for something smaller and more simple too,
Yeah,
but
definitely.
But yeah, definitely knowing yourself and finding a way to do that for yourself is
A
huge.
lot of it is just
Yeah.
recognizing that it's okay to have the option.
Yeah.
That if it just doesn't feel good to live in this place, it's okay to move somewhere else.
Yeah, totally. Totally. Yeah. So, oh, Runs with Scissors said, my mom thought I was possessed because I knew who was calling on the phone all the time before it rang. She said the priest never did exorcise her, however. So thank God
Good.
for
So
that.
they knew that that was, in
Yes.
fact, not
Mhm.
something that should have been treated that way. Wow.
Mhm.
So you
You're
just
just a little
were
psychic
in.
smarty pants that knew what was going on.
Yeah.
Yep. I love that. How fun. Let's see. There were another couple of comments I didn't want to miss. I'm going to have to scroll up here. Cranky Babushka said, I know when people are lying and trying to screw me over. I can tell when people are not trustworthy. I am accused of being negative all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're not going along with that BS. Because you know why? Because you did for a long time
Yeah.
until you finally went, I'm not doing this anymore. And the
Right.
older you got, the less you cared what other people thought of you. And
Mhm.
now you just know when that warning sign comes up, you have to honor it because how could you not?
You do. And you frequently, I feel like frequently as an empath and as an intuitive, you have to make the choice between what is easy and what is true, you know?
Hmm.
What feels true to you versus what would be easy to go along with. And once you feel what is true, you just don't really have a choice anymore.
Totally. Well, Blake said sometimes people get mad at me because I can tell how something's going to happen just because of my intuition and ability to read people and situations. It's frustrating. Sometimes, and we talked about that a little bit earlier, always be choosy about who you share with,
Mhm.
when you can, of course. But the other part of that is if people are getting frustrated with you, I'm going to wager that those are their issues, you know. And I would imagine some of their fear, some of their jealousy, but also just the fact that you tend to be right, and people, get weird about that.
Yeah.
But you keep doing you.
Yeah, there's a lot of bravery in this that you have to
Yeah.
just continue to be yourself.
Yes, you can hear my dog crying in the background. He is. I'll show you. This is my gazillion-year-old dog, Skippy, and
Oh, Skip.
he insisted on coming in here with me, and I knew it was gonna be a mistake, but because he is he has to take seizure medicine, and because of that, he does this kind of funny little, like it sounds like whining, it's more of like a tick almost. He just kinda makes a little noise, and yeah, then it seems like he's, in trouble or something. He's not. However, it is dinner time, and I'm suspecting that that's part of why he's hollering at me.
Mhm.
I definitely should have not let him come in my office with me, but he ran in here, and I didn't want to tell him no because
Oh.
he's my kid. But anyway, so yes, you've probably been hearing a little whining going on for a while now, and that's why. Oh, good. Now he'll give us a few sneezes, maybe some coughs too. Yeah. Thanks, Skip, for that. Yep.
He is quite
Yep.
the old boy.
He really is. Yep. Yep, he looks like a miniature wolf. He's a chihuahua. I'll try and give you a really good look at his face. Yeah. He didn't used to be so gray, but like I said, he's about 1,000 years old. So
He is. He's
and he is my little partner. He is wherever I am all the time. Yeah. So yeah,
Aw,
but
he
sorry
is
about the
sweet.
whining. Oh, look, Skippy, Auntie Trish is in the chat. Good. When we had our store, because Kristi and I we owned a metaphysical store for 10 years. And
Mhm.
Skippy came to work with me every day. And our clients all just fell in love with him, held him, loved on him all the time.
Yeah.
Are you allergic to me or what? What's going on? All the sneezes. Anyway, so anyone who used to come in our store, they all still know and love Skippy. He was just our little partner. He was a little healer. We had people that came in not to see us, but to see him, that just wanted to sit on the couch and hold him for a while so they could feel better.
Right, yeah,
Yep.
he really helped.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
JR wanted to know, as an empath, I've put up a wall after being hurt so many times, but now, yeah, it will affect your relationships for sure, JR.
Yeah.
That's something that you kind of have to consciously, slowly choose to take a little step toward trusting.
Mhm.
One person, one situation, one little step at a time to walk yourself out of that. It's not a thing that you change overnight,
Mhm.
but it is something that you can change. But it does have to be a conscious choice. And,
Yep.
choose a person who is safe and a situation that is safe to start to trust and start to, take some bricks out of that wall.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it does. It takes time, it takes practice, and it really takes trusting yourself.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Eternity wants to know that the pigs are Katie's.
Mhm.
My dogs and cats, none of them are in here, or they would be, yeah, you'd be hearing all of them too. So
Yeah.
they're all locked out of my office right now.
I'd be tearing it up. Yeah.
Yeah, I have two. I have two dachshunds and 4 cats. So
Mhm.
someday you'll meet them all as well.
Yeah. They'll all manage to sneak into these offices at some point.
Yeah, they try really hard, and I try not to because my cats particularly want to walk in front of the camera over and over again. And,
Mhm.
they're cute, but
Put
it is a little
put
distracting
their
when you're
butt in
trying
your
to do a show.
face. Yeah. Cat things.
Yes.
For sure. Uh, Tiago wanted to know, I can't speak in English, but are ghosts real or is it fake? Well, part of my gifts have been I'm a medium and I was born a medium, which means that I see spirits and I've been seeing them since I was a little teeny kid. My earliest memories of seeing ghosts were at 4 years old, and lots of kids see ghosts actually,
Oh yeah.
and some of them stop seeing them when they get a little bit older, or they, you know, kind of you've been told enough times that that's not real or that you're okay or whatever that maybe you stop seeing them. But the truth is that everybody has to come to their own truth or their own conclusion. But to me, ghosts and spirits are absolutely real.
Mhm.
Now, there's different kinds because most spirits are benevolent. Most spirits they're kind. They are our past loved ones. They're around us. They want to support us. They're helping us. Now, occasionally there are spirits on this planet that aren't benevolent. And maybe a little closer to Halloween, we'll do a ghosty show, and talk a little bit more about some of those topics and
Mhm.
break it down for you guys. We're going to run out of time tonight. But
Yeah.
in my personal opinion, ghosts are absolutely real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. And it just
Yeah.
depends on, what kind of a spirit you're talking about and what kind of a situation you're talking about. That term is actually a
Yeah.
really broad term.
Yeah. Yeah. Cooper's friend wondered about the whining, even went to the door to see if it was their neighbor's dog. Sorry about that.
Yeah. That's
You see
funny.
what you've done? Too funny. Okay. Well, you guys, we are getting real close to time here. Let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really appreciate all of you being here with us tonight. We
Yeah.
did want to let you know because Katie and I are both available for private readings, and we wanted to share that with you. So I am
Mhm.
available on the website mysticsense.com, and I am Chris Anna over there. My name is Kristi Ann, so my name on that site is Chris Anna. So if you're ever interested in a phone reading or a chat session, I can do that with you over there. And
Yeah.
Katie.
I read at one2listen.com, and you can find my profile. That's number one, number two, listen.com, and you can find me there. But you can also just go over to my website. That's where everything I do is at. It is katie-weaver.com. And if you go over there, you can sign up for my daily reading. I send out a daily email every single morning with the read for the day. So if you just go to katie-weaver.com, there'll be a pop up right there to sign up for that. And then I publish a magazine once a week called Luminous, also that Kristi also contributes to, with just a lot of good uplifting stuff to help you get through your week. But you can also find information there on how to get a reading from me. So that's pretty
Okay,
much how to do it.
definitely.
Um, we don't cast spells. We could
Yeah,
certainly do some energy work for you, Oxidon. And maybe let's do that for the last thing we do tonight.
sure.
Recently diagnosed with HCS. So, what do you want to do, Chris?
I just think maybe we ought to ask everybody who's listening tonight, everybody in the chat, to send some very positive energy, some love and healing energy toward that situation in order to help resolve it in a positive way.
Yeah. 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 Let's do that. Let's all just hold space together and we can hit that harder next week too. We've really run
Mhm.
ourselves. We were determined to keep this at an hour or less, somewhere at an hour.
We are.
And yeah, this dog wants dinner. So,
Well, we really appreciate all of you being here with us, and of course, stay with us because we will be back with more true crime as well, but we wanted to share a
mhm,
little more with you about who we are and what we do besides the true crime shows, and so that's why we
mhm.
branched out into this live stream as well. So,
Well, in
we'll
our true crime that will come out Monday morning,
yeah.
this week is a part of our ghost tour. This is a cold case that's about 120 years old. We
Yes,
visited the graves, we've done the research, we are ready to lay it out for you guys. It is going to be awesome.
it is. It's gonna be really fun, so don't miss that.
Yep.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, thanks you guys so much for your support. Thanks for being here. Of course, you can find us on YouTube and on Facebook, both True Crime Paranormal. You can find us on Patreon. If you want to support us that way, you sure can. We appreciate that. And if you do that, you do get a little extra free content as well. And
Yeah.
if you're just, if you would rather listen to podcasts, we're on just about every podcast platform out there as well. So,
Sure, yeah.
but we'll be back shortly. So you guys take care and thank you all so much for being here. You've been listening
Have
to
a great
True
night.
Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters.